experience matters, and that showed its head in the semifinals and in the national championship game between Ohio State and Notre Dame. If you look at the teams who advanced in the college football playoff and made it to the semifinals, they had really experienced quarterback play. They had really experienced coaching. They had experienced defenses. And sometimes that's just what matters most. Especially like in the national championship game between Riley Leonard and Will Howard at quarterback, those are two guys who have played a ton of college football. Those are guys that had been in all sorts of different situations throughout their careers, whether it was comebacks, whether it was playing with a lead, whether it was we got to figure this out in 2 minutes with no timeouts, etc. They had been there before. And so the stage wasn't too bright for either one of them. And sometimes that's just what matters most is experience. Ohio State was coached by a head coach who had coached in the national championship game before. They had a quarterback who had played 4.5 years worth of college football before last night's matchup. Like sometimes that's just what is the difference. And that's not to say that Notre Dame didn't win because they were less experienced or whatever the case may be. If you just look at the teams who ended up being successful when push came to shove, Notre Dame beat a Georgia team that was being quarterbacked by a guy making his first start. Ohio State in the first round beat a sophomore quarterback. Penn State got to where they were due to experienced quarterback play. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think that's a just a one-time thing that you started to see it really kind of percolate in college basketball, where like Kentucky won the national championship that one year with a bunch of freshmen that they just recruited the best players in America out of high school. And this was before the transfer portal and all that stuff was really an option. And they recruited the best players out of high school. They came in, they had their 1 year, they won the national championship, and all those guys left. And college coaches started to figure out that, like, I'm not going to be able to win those recruiting battles. So I'm going to have to do this a different way. And what's the other option? Well, the other option is to do it with experience. Is maybe your guys aren't as talented physically as the other team, but when they have 4 years of experience compared to the other team, that's a really high leg up on the competition. And so you see that play out in the college football playoff with Quinn Ewers, played a lot of football. Drew Aller has played a lot of football. Will Howard and Riley Leonard have played a lot of football. And sometimes that's what matters most. Now, speaking of experience or inexperience, I think there are two big key things to talk about / takeaways from the national championship game that deserve to be discussed. And one of them I think Marcus Freeman got right, and one of them I think he got wrong. I know the argument is against kicking the field goal that they that they missed. They made a decision down 16 to kick a field goal. And I've heard this argument, and I think it's incorrect because we've gotten to a point. I think this pendulum has swung too far in the other direction, because it used to be like never go for it on fourth down unless it's like 4th and goal from the 1. And so that conventional wisdom got kicked to the curb, which I think is a good thing. I think you should have the balls to go for it on 4th down, depending on a litany of different things. But more often than not, I think you should go for it. Like, they give you 4 downs, try to get 10 yards, you might as well take them. But in that situation, what Notre Dame is tasked with, I think it is more likely, like the argument is, kicking that field goal doesn't take it down to a 1-score game. Kicking a field goal still makes it a 2-score game, which I understand and completely get. But the scenario starts on 4th and 9. And 4th and 9 is not generally a really easy play to pick up. That is flat out putting all of your eggs in one basket. That your comeback rides or dies with going forward on fourth down. And I think the pendulum has swung too far back the other way, where it used to be you never go for it. You take the points. There's nothing more important than putting points on the scoreboard. And now the argument is, hell, on 4th and 17 from your own 5, you should go for it. Like, no. Sometimes kicking the ball is the right decision. And I think Marcus Freeman made the right decision, because if you go for it in that situation on a 4th and 9, where your offense has not been bad necessarily, as much as in the first drive, Notre Dame did really well. The second and third drives, and they only had 3 drives in the first half, they shot themselves in the foot. So the idea that they're going to pick up a 4th and 9 is not a foregone conclusion by any stretch of the imagination. And you're putting all of your eggs in winning the game on that play, on this one play. If we do not make this, if we do not convert 4th and 9, we are not successful in the game. And I think it should weigh more than a lot of people put stock in. Converting the 4th and 9 is not simple. So to me, it's just a probability question. It's a math question. What is more probable in that situation? That you make a field goal to cut the lead. So you're down 16. Your options are convert a 4th and 9 / score a touchdown, make a 2-point conversion, get a stop or get an onside kick, get the ball back, score a touchdown, and another 2-point conversion, and then not give Ohio State enough time on the clock to march down the field, to kick their own field goal and beat you. That's option number 1. Or option number 2 is we kick a field goal, make it a 13-point game, get a stop / get an onside kick if you really want to get crazy, score a touchdown, kick an extra point, get another stop / force a turnover, however you get the ball back, score a touchdown, kick another extra point, and win the game. Which one of those seems more likely to you? Because to me, making a field goal, getting a stop, scoring a touchdown, extra point, getting another stop, scoring a touchdown, extra point, feels much easier than converting a 4th and 9, scoring a touchdown, getting a 2-point conversion, either getting a stop / getting an onside kick, get another touchdown, get another 2-point conversion, not giving Ohio State the football back with enough time to go back down and beat you. If you were to convert all of those things, be tied, and still get beat. So I think kicking the field goal was the right decision. Did it not play out in their favor? Yeah. But Notre Dame was dangerously close to accomplishing this, because the argument from some that say, hey, you should have went forward on 4th and 9 is that you haven't stopped Ohio State all day, and that the chances of that happening aren't great. And I understand that. But that 4th and 9 situation came just after they forced a fumble, just after they forced a turnover. And then on the next drive, after kicking the field goal that they did not make, obviously, they forced Ohio State to punt. They then scored a touchdown. The next drive, Ohio State is faced with a 3rd and 11. So if the field goal goes in, you force a punt, get the touchdown, you are now in an 8-point game. You're now in a 7-point game or whatever the hell it is. And the team that had a 24-point lead now is faced with 3rd and 11 backed up in their own territory. It was not that far away from working out in their favor. It just really, honestly, truly was not as bad of a decision as I think people initially think, because we've now somewhat trained, and especially people who know ball or whatever, it is more frequent than not that in any circumstance, 4th down, whatever, because we've got to the point somewhat that 4th and whatever, and if you're losing, if you kick, whether it's a punt or a field goal, no balls, they don't even want to win. When sometimes the smart decision is not the gutsy one, is not the riverboat gambler. Sometimes the safe decision is the right decision. And so I think Notre Dame got that one right. I think Marcus Freeman handled that correctly. The result notwithstanding, I think they made the right decision. Now, I think they made the wrong decision on the fake punt because I think everybody in America knew that that was going to be a fake punt because where Notre Dame was at on the field, where they were at on the scoreboard, it was clear that is the one where it's like, you haven't stopped Ohio State all night. You're down by 3 touchdowns. You cannot give them the football back right here. It's 4th and 2. Now, I'm of the belief that on 4th and 2 in the national championship game, if you're going to try to pick up the first down, you don't then design a play for your backup quarterback to be successful. You put the ball in Riley Leonard's hands and just say, hey, I need you to go get us 2 yards. I don't give a damn if we're running quarterback power for the 45th time tonight. It doesn't matter. We need 2 yards because that one, to me, at the time, felt like this is putting all of your eggs in one basket, to use that same analogy from trying to convert a 4th and 9. When you put all your eggs in the one basket of we have to convert, we have to make this fake punt work, because if we don't, we are giving Ohio State a really short field with a 3-touchdown lead, and it just flat out might get away from us here. So in that situation, I think Ohio State knew that Notre Dame was going to fake it because they brought a punt returner on and then left pretty much their defense on the field. But if that's what you're going to do, I don't think the best plan of attack is let's try to fake them out here. Let's bring on the backup quarterback. And it was a decent design. Their guy just dropped the football. It wasn't the world's greatest pass, but it was good enough to convert and move the chains. If you're going to go for it, just go for it. Have your best players on the field. And I think if you were to ask Marcus Freeman, like, hey, do you believe that your punt unit is the best you can put out on a pivotal 4th down that you are going to try to convert? I think the answer to that question is no. And if that's your answer, then you just put the offense on the field. And even if it's the most stereotypical, the most predictable play that you run, you got to feel like on 4th and 2, we're going to convert, because that's the ball game, in my opinion, is 4th and 2, and they don't convert on a fake punt. It's such a momentum play. It's a gigantic momentum play. It exceeds the momentum when you try to run the fake punt. If you go for it on 4th down, where you just line up with 2 tight ends and you're going to run quarterback power and you get stuffed, it's a big momentum play. When you try to swing for the fences and miss, that's where momentum shifts to a point where you got to really work your tail off to get it back. And to Notre Dame's credit, they never gave up. They fight hard. That is a team that plays hard. They got put in a bad situation, I think, on the fake punt. So I think Marcus Freeman got it right on kicking the field goal. I think they got it wrong by not putting the ball in your best player's hands. And you could argue whether Riley Leonard is their best player, whatever. You want to put it in Riley Leonard's hands, you want to put it in Jeremiah Love's hands, whatever the case may be. You got to get your best players in a situation to win the football game for you. And in that instance, I think they failed. And that was the only kind of like big, I think there were some opinions of like, they're too big coaching malpractice. I don't think that. I think they made a mistake. And I think it's genuinely a mistake. Like, I'm pretty frequent, like, mistake is when you use a tablespoon instead of a teaspoon. I don't know that they made a series of really poor decisions and then we're like, how did this not work out for us? I don't think that happened. I think they thought, we can get cute here just a little bit, catch them off guard, get a first down, keep the drive alive, maybe more importantly, keep their offense off the field. And it didn't work. And I would guess, obviously, with hindsight being 2020, that if they could do it again, they probably would do it differently. But that's the only one of the night to me that I think Marcus Freeman has to re-examine of like, okay, I'll remember that. That's just my opinion. Want to know your thoughts from the national championship game? What stood out to you? Drop them in the comments down below. Let's have that conversation. That'll do it for today's episode of the Daily Huddle. Appreciate you making us a part of your day, however it is, wherever it is you're doing so. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're getting all the great college football content we're pumping out. If you're listening on the podcast feed, drop a 5-star review. It goes a long way in helping out the channel. I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of the Daily Huddle.